last video, I did a drawing of Arwen in an Art Nouveau style. In this week's video, I wanted to draw Arwen to mirror my previous drawing. I modeled her dress here off the flowy lilac dress she has in the films, but I added a belt of silver leaves, as she's described as wearing in the book. And I styled her hair after the way she wears it with that same dress. Now welcome to Laurel and Artistry, lovely people, where I draw and talk about all sorts of stuff. Now, time to draw some nice clean lines over the sketch. If you happen to be unfamiliar, Arwen is an elf maiden from the Lord of the Rings. Perhaps the fairest of all elf maidens since Luthien, she, like Luthien, falls in love with a mortal man. Her love becomes the motivating factor for Aragorn, heir to the throne of Gondor, in the fight against Sauron. If you were unfamiliar, I probably just made you more confused by bringing in more names. But then I'd suggest you read The Lord of the Rings or at least watch the films because I can't explain everything. I give her a needle because she sews a banner for Aragorn, and it seemed like a good parallel to the sword I drew Eowyn holding. In the book, she's described as wearing a cap of silver lace, netted with small gems. But I wasn't quite sure how to make an elegant looking cap, so I just drew her in a veil. Now to color her in. This is mostly self-explanatory, so you can just watch me color everything in and I can give my voice a bit of a rest. In the book, she's also described as wearing gray, so that's the color I put her in. Then I zoom in and add some hatching to her. After that, I draw some swirling lines in her hair, as well as some hatching there too. And I continue that all the way down. Then I add in some darker sections to her hair. Airbrush some shading. And highlight. Now for the shading of her skin. Like with Eowyn, I want it soft and subtle. Just building up a bunch of really low opacity layers. Her eyes are described as having the light of the stars in them, so I draw some light reflections. Time to shade her veil. I was struggling to get this thing how I wanted it to look, and I'm not entirely sure I'm happy with even how it turned out in the end, but oh well. I want to make her silver hair ornament look nice and silvery. Now to shade in all the rest of her. Arwen is a character I tend to think gets rather underappreciated. She doesn't fight like Arwen, she isn't mysterious and powerful like Galadriel, but I think she plays a role that is no less valuable. She is a motivator, the one who pushes and inspires the man she loves to greatness. That may seem unimpressive to some, but not everyone is best suited for center stage. The one who inspires others behind the scenes is also commendable. I decided the outlines on the veil looked better a bit darker. Then I brighten up the gems. I try to give her veil a bit more of a silvery look. Then make the gems shine like little stars. Outline Arwen. And then add thread to her sewing needle. Now for the background, which will look fairly similar to the Arwen one. but with a silver star theme rather than a golden sun theme. Because Arwen becomes the Queen of Gondor, I reference the Tree of Gondor in my design here. Color in the background with a grayish purple and blue. Then I shade and texture all that. I do have quite a soft spot for Arwen. She was one of my favorite Lord of the Rings characters growing up. I watched the films and just thought she was so incredibly beautiful. Her costumes, her hair, the way she was lit. She was just the epitome of beauty and grace to me. But more than just her beauty, she exemplifies the sacrificial nature of love. I drew a sun pattern in the circle for Eowyn, and I do a star pattern for Arwen. As I was saying, her love is sacrificial. She gives up her very life, in a sense, in abandoning immortality. She gives up everything she's known, because for her the love she has is greater than every bitterness that may come as a result. And there was great bitterness. Her end is a very sorrowful one, but it really captures the great loss that is always a possibility when we love another, knowing that life doesn't last forever. But that pain and loss can be, in some strange way, an evidence that the love you experienced was worth it. That you shouldn't run from loving others out of the fear of inevitable pain. I now draw symmetrical vines on either side, and give those some leaves. And then I color that in. So yeah, there will always be sacrifices and pain in life, but we shouldn't always shy away from what might hurt if it is in pursuit of what is good and right. I add in my final little details. A subtle inner border, some color adjustments, and I bring the outer border into the foreground a bit more. Now that I'm done, let's put that side by side with the Eowyn drawing. And finally, we'll take a closer look at my Arwen drawing. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. Now that I'm looking at both of these side by side, I'm thinking that I may need to do the other Lord of the Rings ladies to complete the piece. But these were quite in-depth drawings, and I need a little bit of a break before I do the rest, so you'll probably get something more simple next time. In the meantime, remember, the world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places. But still, there is much that is fair. And though in all lands love is now mingled with grief, it grows perhaps the greater. Ciao.